and let us all do we can to build a better future.
Joe Manchin, we got to talk about him. Yesterday, I did a short live stream about, again, Nancy Pelosi, Kristen Sinema, and AOC, and how their mixed messaging and their own hypocrisy are sinking the Democratic Party. But hold on, they're not alone. Let's talk about good old Joe Manchin. So here's this wonderful two-part video from Case Study QB. Actually, we're going to be playing an older video first. Again, this $3.5 trillion budgetary bill, this great bill that the Democrats, and especially the progressives, are fighting so hard for, looks like they're going to lose another thing, and it's a behest of Manchin. Get rid of any talk about climate change. Because, hey, at least according to Manchin's mentality on his fancy yacht, oh, there might be a planet B, but in reality, we all know that there isn't a planet B. We're all stuck here on Earth. Climate change is a real threat to humanity. So let's play this video and just hear the mindset of Manchin and how he's against climate change. Let's play this first video. Again, shout out to Case Study QB.
It's Manchin versus everyone these days, apparently. Progressives have suggested that climate change measures are a red line for them. So is his opposition going to kind of blow this whole thing up?
I certainly hope not. It feels like a lot of people are in deal-making mode, which they absolutely need to be. Your reporting pointed out that Biden and staff have been at the White House all weekend making calls, which is good. Progressives in the Senate, in the House, have indicated they are in deal-making mode, which is great. Pelosi, for the last couple of months, has been, I think, the most aggressive in trying to actually get to a deal here. The ones who have not been so much on board in making deals are in the Senate, which is really holding this process up. I feel like as we're going through each piece of this reporting, this piece is out, this piece is in. I feel like I just want, like, the next thing I want to hear is they have a deal. Like, I feel like, can someone just play them the room where it happens and get this over with? Like, the back and the forth, they need to just agree that they are working towards a deal. Otherwise, the entire thing will blow up. That will be devastating, not just for the big piece of the Biden agenda, but let's not forget that we have the Virginia governor's race in 15 days. If Democrats don't show that they can actually get something done when in power, I'm not so sure that race is going to be won.
And do you think that's something that they're keeping in mind right now, that they have to try to get something done within the next 2.5 weeks ahead of Virginia, or else it'll be as a precursor for the midterm for what's to come for Democrats?
No, I do not think they have it in mind, and I think it's quite frankly ridiculous.
Why are you yelling at me?
It's like none of I know. I'm sorry that you were a proxy for my frustration. But it's like none of them ever lived through 2009, 2010 Tea Party wave. For the Affordable Care Act, there was so much arguing done out loud that once we actually got to a piece of legislation, it didn't even feel like a win. And then the off-cycle governor's race in Virginia and New Jersey, in that case, ended up just dampening Democrats' attitude towards it, and they felt like they couldn't pass something big. It's like none of them lived through that. They're thinking about the governor's race as being a bellwether for whether or not the midterms will go well for Democrats. But we should be thinking about it the opposite way, that they have to pass something in order to get momentum in Virginia.
Okay, look, we've covered on the show last week and the week before about how in this $3.5 trillion bill, it's being lowered. Progressive programs, in theory, are being cut out and removed. And it seems like Manchin and Sinema and a lot of these blue dog Democrats in the Senate and House are dictating how it should be shaped. It's being gutted. It's being gutted in a way to where there's nothing left. And mind you, it does benefit a lot of private corporations too. So at the end of the day, this great big thing that the Democrats want to gamble on, it's offering us nothing in return. And it seems like, again, Manchin is so adamant of being against it. Now, in my opinion, this $3.5 trillion could be doing more. In theory, it could be doing a lot more. But it's not. And remember, it was progressives, especially it was Representative Pramila Jayapal, who said that the number was originally at $7 trillion, and they compromised. You see, again, I keep saying this on the show, when you compromise, and if you're a progressive and you're supposed to be there to raise the ruckus, you're signaling to the establishment Democrats that you're okay with surrendering your values. And Manchin and Sinema seem to be getting away with a lot. A lot when it comes down to what they want. And the Biden-Harris administration aren't pushing back. This is supposed to be the big thing that the Democrats want to gamble on, but it's going to bite them, especially when we get into the midterm election cycle of 2022. What Americans want is relief. What Americans want is a bailout. Millions of Americans are at risk of being evicted from their homes. We have this ridiculous regime change war policy here in this country. We have, again, huge support for bailing out banks and corporations. We have the ridiculous prison industrial complex. We're not doing anything about climate change. We have student debt. We have medical debt. Americans are being pushed around left, right, up, and down by an establishment and corporate media that doesn't really give a damn. And again, Democrats, what does this say about your messaging about this $3.5 trillion? Now, it's not the press's job to do your to sell this thing. You guys are doing a very good job convincing Americans that none of you know what you're doing. We got another video. Again, apologies that you have to sit through this one because this has to deal with good old Morning Joe and how, again, Manchin is against climate change. So here we go. Again, the planet is on fire. The planet is melting. And we're all on it. But Manchin is saying nothing to climate change. No. I don't want it in this $3.5 trillion. Even though, again, with this bill that the Democrats are harping on, it doesn't really matter at this point. And again, from my own perspective, we need to break away from this two-party system because they're not going to do anything about climate change. It's going to be up to the people. Let's play this video again. Shout out to Case Study QB.
Agenda is likely to be cut from the reconciliation package after opposition from Democratic Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia. Manchin announced his opposition to a central program in President Biden's clean energy plan that would replace coal and gas-fired power plants with wind, solar, and nuclear energy. All right, New York Times energy and environmental policy reporter Coral Davenport joins us right now with more on this. So what's going to be left, and is Manchin going to be able to keep the president to this and cut out one of these key provisions?
Well, what we've seen all along is like what Manchin wants, Manchin gets in this space.
Can we pause it right here for a quick second? Sorry, apologies for this, but everyone, again, let's just hear that. Let's just remember what those words. What Manchin wants, Manchin gets. I guess it's really true then. I guess Manchin is the president of the United States and Sinema is his VP. What does it say about, again, the negotiating abilities of the Biden-Harris administration and who the hell is advising Joe Biden and Kamala Harris? It seems like Senator Manchin and Senator Sinema get what they want from this administration, and they're the ones blocking it. Now, of course, we know what to expect from Republican legislatures, but at the end of the day, I think I made my position very clear about what I think about the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. But this is evidence to anyone that's a diehard Democratic voter or a diehard Republican voter. If you are going to vote for this two-party system, know this. They're okay with playing games with you. You would expect this kind of pushback from Republicans, but it's the Democrats that are doing this. And it's a Democratic administration that's turning a blind eye to the actions of their fellow colleagues. They can't unify. In theory, the Democrats have a real winning platform if they actually had a backbone to do something about it. They could do something about, again, climate change, student debt, medical debt. I want to remind everyone that Joe Biden, through executive order, can get us Medicare for all, make cannabis legal, and pardon student debt. Through executive order, not through Congress, not through the Senate or the House, not through the Supreme Court, through executive order. But what is the commander-in-chief doing? Bowing down to Senator Manchin. And what Manchin gets, Manchin will get. Let's play this video.
Is like what Manchin wants, Manchin gets in this space. As you know, he is one of the two crucial up or down votes on the entire package, and that package, that broad social spending, environmental, education package, contains almost all of President Biden's agenda. So he has a ton of leverage. Of course, Senator Manchin comes from a coal and gas producing state. And this policy, it's called the Clean Electricity Program. It really is sort of the core and the teeth of the climate provisions in this bill. It is designed to pay electric utilities to shut down coal and gas plants and get new and sort of slowly, year over year, transition to wind, solar, nuclear, basically clean energy. So end game for this program is to cut the use of the fossil fuels that are a part of his home state's economy And, I think for several weeks there was a sense that maybe Senator Manchin would be able to, that would kind of throw a lifeline to those fossil fuels. Didn't seem to happen. So at the moment, it sounds like it's, over the weekend, the people that I talked to 4 people who said this thing is really dead. In answer to your other question, there are other climate provisions in there. There's about $300 billion in tax incentives, in benefits for.
All right. Well, again, this is the power of one United States senator. There's another United States senator that talked about raising a revolution, pushing back, fighting back, being aggressive. That's right, I'm talking about Senator Bernie Sanders. Bernie, if this $3.5 trillion bill is your legacy, what you compromised with during the 2020 election cycle, you're already being screwed over by the Democratic Party. Bernie Sanders, you could, in theory, with the other progressives in the United States Senate and House, could form a true voting bloc and actually do the same thing that Manchin and Sinema are doing. But you're choosing not to. Look at what Manchin is doing, and he's not even lifting a finger. With a wave of his hand, he is able to capsize everything in Washington, D.C. You do realize, Bernie, that you have the same kind of political momentum, and you could have been doing this from day one when Biden got inaugurated into office. I'm not asking you to be aggressive towards your good friend. That's right. That's what you said. Joe Biden is your good friend. But my goodness, seeing the progressives now fight at this last minute, it's downright depressing to know that you chose to wait at the last hour, the last minute, to even raise a voice. By being silent, by accepting everything as it was as soon as the Biden-Harris administration got into power, you basically left the door open for the corporate Democrats to walk all over the progressives. And again, corporate media is seeing that, and the American voter is seeing that. If you want to inspire confidence, show us what you can do. But again, when you run as a progressive in a Democratic Party, you're going to be told to fall in line and to follow the rules. And if you don't, you're going to be yelled at. If you vote the wrong way, you're going to be bullied until your no vote becomes a present. We got another video from Case Study QB. Let's be sure to pull that up. Again, shout out to Case Study QB. I believe there was a secondary video in that thread. There we go. Let's actually pull that up. So again, shout out to Case Study QB. Again, he's doing a lot of great work. Be sure to check out his original YouTube channel and his Odyssey channel as well, because again, he's the one person that can sit through corporate media. But let's play these last few seconds of this video.
For renewable energy, for electric vehicles. So that's almost assuredly going to be in there. I think the Democrats are going to try to plus up that money if they take out this other program. But a lot of analysts I've talked to have said the problem with this is it's a lot of carrots. It's a lot of sort of throwing a lot of money at green energy. But if you take out this provision, you don't really have any sticks. You don't really have any penalty or punishment for taking away the dirty energy. That's kind of the thinking of how this is significantly does weaken those climate provisions.
Yeah, New York Times energy and environmental policy reporter Coral Davenport, thank you very much. And
all right, let's pause it here because the video will repeat itself. So let's look at this. Climate change, it's a real threat. We're dealing with massive droughts, super hurricanes, and of course, we're dealing with cold winters. And it's going to be impacting a lot of Americans, from the big cities to the small towns, all across this country. But this isn't just an American issue. Climate change is a global issue that we have to be concerned about. But yet Manchin, in his ivory tower, any bill that has it, and look, I have my reservations for this $3.5 trillion bill that the Democrats are fighting so hard to fight for. Anything that has to do with climate change, it's either going to be a corporate Democrat or a Republican senator or House representative that's going to want to silence any talk about climate change. The rest of the world sees the threat of climate change. But where's the pushback from the progressives? Where is the ruckus? Where is that revolution? You're going to see it again, and I promise you are going to see it, but not in the way that you think, especially if it's coming from Washington, D.C., and, of course, our elected representatives in the United States Senate and House. They're going to play their channels. They're going to play their videos, their campaign ads saying, we're going to raise the ruckus. If you vote more Democrats, we'll be able to get more things done. We've seen this before. The Democrats will never follow through. And when it comes down to the ever-growing threat of climate change and what the risks it poses to the human species, Senator Joe Manchin is okay with turning a blind eye to it, not talking about it, and getting rid of any kind of bill or legislation that's going to talk about or deal with climate change. If things are going to be done about this devastating threat that we are all going to have to deal with, it's going to have to come from the people. The people are going to have to step up. Because if you rely on anyone from Washington, D.C., expect, of course, the Republican establishment to give you the middle finger, expect someone like Joe Manchin or Kristen Sinema to give you the middle finger, and also expect to see silence from the progressives in the United States Senate and House. We're supposed to live on this planet. We're supposed to have a better future, but it seems like our politicians really just don't give a damn. I'd be angry, and so should you.